Hey everyone, before I get started, I just want to remind you that if you like my content, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and then join the Militiaman and Crew Patreon community by clicking the link in the caption. Hey, good evening everybody. Today's been a big day. This is Militiaman and the crew's been with me. We had a few chats today and talked about many different things. But some of the things that I found today that were really interesting and really compelling is that the Prime Minister, Maher Mohammed Saleh, confirmed on Tuesday that the exchange rate would soon be strong against other currencies. It's kind of a big deal because the guy is very well respected, and we all know that he has been around for a long time. What he's saying is that there's a new strategy that's reforming the national currency management system and the Iraqi payment system. Both of those are what we expect to see what's happening, because at this stage of the game, they're ultimately doing their currency reforms. They're doing their economic reforms. But Saleh, he was at a scientific symposium, and in that symposium, they talked about the exchange rate. And what they said was the basis of that for implementing the currency reform strategy is an ongoing thing for the foreseeable future. We don't see anything different about them changing this matter. They're going to keep moving forward. And they go on to say that the economy of the country is large. It's very strong. It has reserves. It has gold. It has all that stuff. But they just basically say that the reserves, resources are large. And we know that to be true. One of the things that I like to think of is that because of the nature of the beast, which is all of the components combined, you have taxes, tariffs at the borders, you have the oil, you have the gas, you have natural gas, you have all the natural resources. All of those things are going to come into play to support the value of their currency into the future. So when they talk about the management system and the Iraqi payment system, that's all inclusive. So what we're going to see in the future is that these guys are going to keep talking about how the process is working. Saleh, for instance, he expresses optimism, right? Well, why would he have optimism? Well, he believes that what's happening right now is that the economy of Iraq is going to stabilize, and it'll be reflected in the rise of the dinar against foreign currencies. And think about that. The economy is going to stabilize, and it's going to be reflected by a rise in the value against foreign currencies. Well, the United States dollar is a foreign currency in their view. So keep that in mind. And I'll go to another topic. Give me just 1 second. The other topic that I wanted to talk about was that the central bank governor, Ali Allah, comes out today and says we'll continue to work on the sustainability of Iraq's financial and banking system. Another key component of what was talked about by his advisor. Not his advisor, but the Prime Minister's advisor. Sorry about that. But the central bank governor of Ali Moshan Allah confirmed on Tuesday, working with the government on the sustainability of the Iraqi financial and banking system. Basically what this guy was talking about. They're working in conjunction, they're communicating to the people, they're communicating to their audience, they're communicating to the scientific, so to speak, the educated science people who will teach other people about what they're doing. All these things have been going on. And he says that he extends his thanks and appreciation to everybody and gratitude for the response to what the central bank's been doing. So that's why would they be doing that? Is because its focus is to alleviate the pain for the citizens, I guess. So, but that's what they're trying to do, is because this whole reforms issue is to bring some prosperity to their people. He goes on to say that the bank and the government will continue their efforts within a fruitful coordination to achieve desired goals. Well, desired goals, those were talked about in, if you remember in prior videos, is that they were talking about that in Istanbul. They talked about cooperation, they talked about coordination, collaboration. They talk about like all these things, and effectively it comes back down to is to the exchange rate of the country. So, and their reforms and what they're going to do with trade, the borders, security, stability, all of those things come into play. And he even pledges to his people to exert more efforts to enhance their confidence in their national currency. They call it today national currency. They haven't done that in the past that I can recall. National currency is, well, the United States dollar is a national currency. What's your national currency? Well, ours is the yen, ours is the won, ours is the Canadian dollar, Australian dollar, the euro. Get it? National. They call that today. So they're gearing for to become national. We're waiting for them to go international with an Article 8 compliant currency. So that's where we're at with that point. Today was an interesting day. They adjusted the exchange rate to 1,300 to the dollar. And to some people that sounds like, oh my gosh, that's it's over and done with. But remember that this whole process, and the central bank governor has come out and talked about packages. We had one package and two packages. This package we're seeing is the first one that he's rolled out. But we have him saying too, though, that there's going to be a second package, and that second package is going to be toward the middle of the month. There's some really key things that I want to point out, and I'll get to that in a minute, but they have some writing, and bear with me, that I'll read some of the things that they're specifically that supports what I'm going to say, is that this is coming from what they are telling us, okay, that they're going to do certain things. And this 1300 was one of the first stages. The second stage is to, after they have adjusted the exchange rate, 1300, they're going to re-prepare the budget, 2023 budget. So in this context, the central bank governor has stated that that's what's going to happen, and we should take him at his word for that, because of the nature of they want to fix it for the citizens. They openly come out and tell us that the 2021 reduction in rate from 1182, 1190, whatever, to 1450, 1460 was a black spot, was a dark time. And that was against the citizens, because we know that was about a 23% inflation, and it hurt everybody. So if it goes from 1182 to 1460, it's bad. So then if they go to 1300, how is that good? It never got international in 1182, 1166, 1450, 1460. They've never been Article 8 compliant with those numbers, have they? I don't think they have. 1300 is what? Halfway between 1460 and 1166, real close. What good does that do? How is that alleviating any pain? Inflation has risen since the 1460s, since then, so they're not gaining anything. It's not any good for them. So that second package is a key component, and I'll get to that in just one second. So getting back to it, there's two people out and about talking about certain things that are happening. We have Al-Sudani, the Prime Minister, Ali Alak is the central bank governor, and they're talking about certain things on their own little platforms, but a lot of the topic is reflective of an exchange rate. And so headlines today is Al-Sudani reveals in detail the mechanism of the exchange rate to the new dollar. The window for selling currency is a black point. That's what I said. They're talking about a black point, which means that they know that 1460 to 1182 reverting to 1300 is still not going to be doing anybody any favors. So the Iraqi Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani revealed on Tuesday the details of the new dollar's price mechanism, describing the currency sale window as a black point. That's what they're saying to us, a black point in history. All right, so that's not good. So they're gonna have to fix it, but at least they're acknowledging it. You know, that's what else do you want them to do? The board of directors of the central bank held an extraordinary meeting yesterday and decided to consider the exchange rate of the dollar to 1300 and sent that decision to the Council of Ministers. Okay, so Okay, so they hammer it out and they decided that we're going to bring it back to 1300. But remember, the street is at 1650, 1700. And there's all kinds of things happening in that respect on the street because it's different. The official rate's still 1450, but the street's going crazy because they can't get the dollar. But you all know that. We've been over that stuff. So moving on is that they got it at 1300 today, and then they have some other issues, and they say, well, hold on. They say the central bank will start from tomorrow, Wednesday, to implement the decision and sell the dollar at a prescribed price. Okay. Are they talking about 1300? I'm not so sure they are. Because these are tough. This is translation stuff. But we'll work through it and see if we can get it out. Okay. That prescribed price. The general budget law will be re-prepared after changing the exchange rate of the dollar. Let that sink in. The general budget law will be re-prepared. That's kind of a tongue twister. After changing the exchange rate of the dollar. He points out that the decision to raise the exchange rate of the dollar in the year 2021 was ill-considered, and it was accompanied by a rise in food prices. You see what I'm saying? So if they change it to 1300, it's already a black spot. Why in the world would they think that that's going to be sufficient to accommodate people's needs? It doesn't make any sense, right? I mean, that's my view on it. But think about what he just says here. He says that Al-Sudani stressed that the general budget law will be re-prepared after changing the exchange rate of the dollar. After they changed the exchange rate. They just did. If they just did, and he says they're going to re-prepare it again in the second package, which is to come mid-month per alak. He said that. He said it again today. So those are the things that we're talking about at Patreon in the community with Militiaman and the crew. We have all of the stuff. We have everything that you need to be able to read it for yourselves. You can go through it, enjoy it. But in the meantime, what we're watching is that there's some meetings in Washington, D.C. that may have started today, tomorrow, and maybe even to the 9th. And then specifically about the exchange rate, stability, security. Could be some other issues with other countries in respect to trade, how they're going to deal with that. But let's just be clear that at this stage of the game tonight, if I'm right and our study is correct, we have the central bank governor is in Iraq. The prime minister is in Iraq. The finance minister is in Iraq. Think about that. The foreign minister is in Washington, D.C. The deputy of those three that I left, the governor of the central bank, the prime minister, etc., are in Washington. The group that's in Washington spent time with the Russian envoy before arrival in Washington, D.C. So if you set the stage of Istanbul, the meetings that were with the Central Bank of Iraq and the United States Treasury were related to all the stuff that I just mentioned to you. So keep that in mind. So right now is a crucial environment. But we all know, but based off what I just said and what I just read to you guys through my notes, is that what was said on the streets, for instance, one last quick point. The other day, there was dealers that were dealing in dollars, okay? And they had a problem with that. And they were getting nervous. And it basically stated that they had a paralysis in the marketplace because nobody wanted to trade. Nobody wanted to deal in dollars because they were nervous, because they knew that something was up with respect to that Istanbul those meetings for 2 days were successful. That's where we came up with the green light, if you remember. If you've been into the community, you probably heard those audios that we have presented for everybody, thanks to those patrons that bring it to us. But here it says that some dealers and prices said, at a time when all banking companies seem not to work because they do not know what might happen tomorrow, which would be today the 7th, or the day after tomorrow, the 8th, okay? Everyone's ready to buy the dollar in any amount they can be offered due to its scarcity. So they're saying is that we're not buying the dollar, we're not doing anything right now because we're nervous about the risk. What happened today? They changed the value of the currency to 1,300. The smart money, the traders, the investors, the merchants, they knew that something was up and they didn't know which direction. They didn't want to be on the wrong side of the trade. Today, what did they do? They panic, sell the dollar. Not the dinar, the dollar. Let that resonate. All right, we'll see you soon. Thank you for your time and effort, and thanks for joining us. Everybody on YouTube, everybody at Patreon, everybody on Discord, thank you so much for your support. And please, anybody and everybody that sees us, if you can, hit that like button. And the donations, of course, are always appreciated to keep the content as good as this. It's what we do. We have Samson, we have Pompey Peter, we have Petra, Day Trader, we have Gigi, we have Sunkist, we have Brian. We have all these different people that have been around for years and years, bringing you what we believe is some of the best data that you can get. And we just try to keep it real. Thank you very much. Enjoy your night. Once again, guys, don't forget to hit that like button if you like this content. Subscribe to the channel or join us at the Militia Man and Crew Patreon community for even more exclusive content. You can also donate to this channel by hitting the links in the banner to help keep this page up and running. Your generous support is greatly appreciated, as always. Much, much appreciated. Thank you so much and have a great day.